everyone and welcome back to Blues Fans TV. I am Sophie Rose and I have a little bit of transfer news for you today, or what we hope will be a transfer eventually. I'm actually very excited about this one. Not normally am I excited by transfers. I think so far we've made some fantastic signings. It would be brilliant to add to that for next season to make us as strong as possible. Fingers crossed we get top four, because that will also be a huge attraction for big players like this one we're going to discuss in a minute. We'll just quickly touch base on the Norwich game. You know, when it comes to this part of the season, obviously the only thing that's really important is the 3 points and getting the wins at the end of the day. Was it the perfect performance? No. You know, a 1-0 against Norwich is nothing to brag about. I think a good team should be winning that game 3-0 at home all day long. But it was a clean sheet. Great goal from Giroud, the assist from Pulisic. He's fast becoming one of our, you know, most important players, Pulisic. I hope he doesn't get too focused on trying to do everything on his own. You know, there's loads of times I wish he'd look up and pass, because I think his job is also, you know, not just to score goals, but to assist the goals as well. I think that's just as important for a player of his talent and, you know, in his position. So fingers crossed doesn't get too carried away there. But yeah, I wasn't really overly impressed with how we played. Slightly better passing, but I think if you look at the difference between the Sheffield United game and that Norwich game, is that Norwich gave us so much space to move the ball. Sheffield United were very good at closing us down and making every tackle. Norwich, clearly that's why they've been relegated, obviously, but with the pressure off of them now, I expected it to be a bit more difficult than what it would have been if they were still fighting against relegation. So yeah, not the best game. You know, a couple of points to pick up on. I think Willian did a good job. Every time he lost the ball, he was tracking back. He was, you know, trying to intercept again and win the ball back, and that's what you want to see out of your players. I wasn't too impressed with Jorginho's performance again. I think in the first half he was losing the ball a little bit again. I was very surprised to see him back in the team, but you know, whatever Frank and Jody say. But you know, I'm very happy that we managed to get the 3 points, and you know, that's all that matters basically. You know, it puts pressure on our rivals, and you know, we're really going down to the very last game on this, I think, because it's unpredictable. You just don't know. I thought United were for sure going to overtake us. They gave up that opportunity, and thank God they did. So fingers crossed we can work harder during this week, and you know, just continue, even if we're not playing the best football, to get the wins out of these games. But they are, you know, I'd be lying if I said I wasn't worried for our cup game on Sunday. The previews for that are coming soon, because, you know, I think we can compare our form. It's not as great, but, you know, let's leave that till another video. So let's get into today's video. Now, we're going to talk about a potential new signing, and that is Jan Oblak from Atletico Madrid. He is their captain. He is their goalkeeper. Very rare, I think, to captains of teams get transferred. It doesn't happen as often. And yeah, this is sort of like a weird one for me, because I never thought we'd be talking about signing a new goalkeeper just a couple years in. Kepa came in. He was meant to be the world's most expensive goalkeeper, and it was meant to be an investment for the future. He was young, and it just hasn't gone that way. You know, a lack of consistency with Kepa. He's clearly not favoured by Frank Lampard. I think that's why we're obviously talking so soon about potentially having a replacement for him. And, you know, from word on the street, Kepa doesn't really seem to have a good relationship with a lot of, you know, the team. And that's not, you know, just the players. I would say that's the background staff and everyone. And I think for Chelsea, if we're talking about consistency, if we're talking about having a world-class consistent goalkeeper who is definitely our number one choice, who we can depend on, who we can trust to make those world-class saves, because when you're into the top, I would say top 6 of the Premier League, you really need to invest in a really good goalkeeper. Otherwise, that's when you slowly start to drift down the table. Obviously, there are other factors to that, but having a world-class goalkeeper is, you know, more or less an absolute must-have for Chelsea FC. So we're going to talk about this one. So he's 27 years old. So, okay, fine, a little bit older than what I suppose we would want, but, you know, still young enough, and he's got a fantastic record. And not only is he the captain of their club, he set a record in La Liga for having 100 clean sheets in only 182 games. That to me is a fantastic stat. You know, he's a proven good goalkeeper. I think Diego has said that he doesn't want to lose him, and he's not surprised by the interest that Chelsea have in him, which I'm sure happens, you know, when you have a team like Atletico Madrid, who have such amazing players, or Real Madrid or Barcelona, you know, every year they're going to be admired by other clubs around the world, and goalkeepers are absolutely no exception to that. And I'd be lying if I said that I wasn't, you know, excited about even just having a little bit of a rumour out there. I think he'd be a great fit for us. I think he's, you know, proven to be one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I think not only does he have experience playing for, you know, a world-class team, I think Atletico Madrid are that. And I've been to both their stadiums, actually. I'm not really sure which one I prefer. I think I prefer that older one, but I still like their new stadium. But yeah, you know, they're a great team. When we won a few years back, 2-1 there, it felt like a massive victory, because not only are you winning a game in the Champions League, whether it's group stages or not, you know, you're winning a game against a fantastic team of a great fan base. So, you know, to have interest in a player of his caliber, and to have, you know, just even a little bit of news out there that we may be interested in signing him is fantastic. As for Kepa, I'm sure he's not probably delighted with the news that he's, you know, potentially being replaced. But, you know, from his side of things, he's got to look at it realistically, and he hasn't performed well. I think not just that, I think a major probably turning point in this was, if you remember at Wembley when he refused to come off the pitch, I was there. You know, even if you are a player that believes that you should be staying on the pitch, if you believe there's something wrong with you physically or mentally, then no matter what, whether you think it's the right decision for a manager, you should be going off, because otherwise that sets absolutely no boundaries at all for other players. It's a bit, you know, it's a bit like just setting example for others, I think. So that's something that I think a lot of managers wouldn't want to work with. I think, you know, whether it was a mistake or not, you know, attitude plays a major part in it. I don't think he has lived up to the expectation that Chelsea would want. And that's not to say that he hasn't made some great saves over the course of his Chelsea career. But I think for that price tag and for the expectation that was on him when he arrived at Stamford Bridge, he's not really lived up to that. And I think going forward, if we're already now thinking of signing somebody new, this obviously means it's a failed deal. And I'm thinking, oh my God, 70 million for a goalkeeper, that's so much money. But actually, you know, we've made loads of signings over the years, not goalkeepers that have failed, but, you know, for instance, you know, Fernando Torres, or there's so many, Shevchenko, for instance, you know, there's loads of players, although I suppose Torres is a bit of a cult hero. You know, teams make loads of mistakes in signing players, and we've had our fair share of that, so I suppose goalkeeper should be no different. If we did want to go for Oblak, he would be around 110 million, which is a huge, huge fee. I think he's got a contract with Madrid until 2023, so obviously that would be a buyout clause, which makes him more expensive. But, you know, I think it's well worth it in this case, because he's proven and he has those stats to match up to his price tag, as well as I think Kepa actually didn't have that and was more hyped up by either media or, you know, I don't know what went on there really. You know, it's sort of unexplainable. I think maybe you saw talent in a player that you believed had the prospect of being one of the best, and it hasn't worked out. I don't know, but I think for Chelsea, we really need we don't really want to be going through different goalkeepers every few years. You know, we really want to try and keep one long-term goalkeeper, and if we have to spend a lot of money on that, then that's what we have to do. I would be surprised if we're able to pull this off, if I'm being honest, but I think for that price tag and for the expectation that was on him when he arrived at Stamford Bridge, he's not really lived up to that. And I think going forward, if we're already now thinking of signing somebody new, this obviously means it's a failed deal. And I'm thinking, oh my God, 70 million for a goalkeeper, that's so much money. But actually, you know, we've made loads of signings over the years, not goalkeepers that have failed, but, you know, for instance, you know, Fernando Torres, or there's so many, Shevchenko, for instance, you know, there's loads of players, although I suppose Torres is a bit of a cult hero. You know, teams make loads of mistakes in signing players, and we've had our fair share of that, so I suppose goalkeeper should be no different. If we did want to go for Oblak, he would be around 110 million, which is a huge, huge fee. I think he's got a contract with Madrid until 2023, so obviously that would be a buyout clause, which makes him more expensive. But, you know, I think it's well worth it in this case, because he's proven and he has those stats to match up to his price tag, as well as I think Kepa actually didn't have that and was more hyped up by either media or, you know, I don't know what went on there really. You know, it's sort of unexplainable. I think maybe you saw talent in a player that you believed had the prospect of being one of the best and it hasn't worked out. I don't know, but I think for Chelsea, we really need we don't really want to be going through different goalkeepers every few years. You know, we really want to try and keep one long-term goalkeeper. And if we have to spend a lot of money on that, then that's what we have to do. I would be surprised if we're able to pull this off, if I'm being honest. I think Atletico don't want to lose him, that's for sure. You know, why would you ever want to lose your captain, let alone one of the best goalkeepers in the world? But, you know, money talks, and if Chelsea can pull it off, then that would be fantastic for next season. I think that would mean that Kepa is almost automatically benched, if here at all. You know, I think for him, he'll probably want to be playing first team football, considering he's now played for Chelsea. I think it'll be quite hard to go back to being a bench goalkeeper, but who knows? You know, so let me know what you think about this one. I'm excited about this one. He's a player that's proven. He's set records already. I'm not saying the Premier League and the Liga are anywhere near the same. I think the Premier League is far more competitive. I think it's going to be very, very hard. But I think once he was settled in, he would be fantastic. And, you know, very rare that goalkeepers are captains, I think. And, you know, they obviously have that much trust in him as a player, and his clean sheet record is fantastic, and that's exactly what we want. You know, we don't want to be conceding 2-3 goals every single game. And, you know, not to be harsh on Kepa completely, because our back four has been responsible for an incredible lot of goals, especially since, you know, we've come back from the virus. But I do feel as if there are lots of factors in this that just make Kepa not our number one solid choice. So comment below, let me know what you think about this one. I'm very excited about this. 110 million is obviously a huge price tag, but we've never been afraid to break the bank before. If it's for a good player, we just need to get this one right. We don't want to be changing goalkeepers every few years. So please comment below and subscribe if you love this video, and we will do more soon. United videos are coming up in the next couple of days.